Well, I am so glad that you are still with us here, and it's time for our insight. We're going to have a very interesting discussion. It's been a while since we've had people like this who come and talk to us about understanding certain basics, understanding, that we can change our own lives and transform. Earlier on, we had given you a clip there in regards to motivating you and, telling you the reality, because sometimes we don't want to hear the truth. But hey, with me in studios is Addison Asima, who takes on so many roles in his life, and one of those is to be a motivational speaker, which is something he's taken on as an individual. You're very welcome, Addison.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Addison Asim are my names. I'm a professional social worker.
Yeah.
And I have been working in administration wherever I've been employed.
Yeah.
I've been doing the job of administration.
Okay.
So in administration, it cuts across.
Yeah.
I've learned so many things. I've met so many challenges. And those challenges have been so good and very important. There have been opportunities for me to learn so many things.
So then something pushed you to talking with people, helping people understand, where the gaps are. So basically, more like a motivational. I don't know. Do you do speeches? Do you do motivational speaking? Or you're not yet at that point?
Not really that, but first of all, I think I'm so much inspired of when I look at the people and the things I meet. And the virtue of my profession, I discovered that we have a challenge of a mindset. For example, when your mindset is tuned towards a certain direction, you just really need to pray to God, or you make sure you change to a good direction so that you can be a better person. And as a social worker, I have been looking at this, that one must believe in himself or herself, so that you are able to walk a journey and do better things. But you must first believe in yourself. Then you take time to think around factors of growth and development. You tap into the available opportunities around you so that you can actually be a better person. I just have one example. I lost my parents when I was very young, and I did not know what to do. But I did not say that I'm now finished. I only had to look at my behavior and see how I can move. And our dear listeners, that's something that I want them to learn from this point. My father, at one time, he used to tell us not to go and waste time after school. You should come straight home. So at one evening, I just remained playing football, and he came and caught me with my cousin. And he said, "You guys lie down here, I'm going to cane you properly." And my cousin took off. But because I listened and I had a certain behavior, he ran after him. He came back. I remained on the same point. When he looked at me, he shook his head. And he said, "If you remain with this character, I'm sure you will be a man in life." And other members of the family, because the point that where he left me is where he found me. And he said, "Anyway, I think he's like the mother," because my mother was so humble. And because he didn't beat me, he didn't do anything, I learned how to respect people and follow their guidance. So I'm thinking that the listeners who are listening to us, when you're humble and you listen to the advice, you change. You don't think that whatever is being done, you do wrong things. Even if something has happened and it is wrong, you just accept and you ask for forgiveness and you stand for it. I'm sure that one can make you succeed. It can be in your home, it can be a place of work, and you say, "This is a mistake, I did it, I'm sorry, but this is a learning point, I'm not going to do it again."
Well, that could be a bit difficult, because you're talking about mindset. So many times people are not apologetic at all. People don't care. Imagine people don't care about their own selves, you know, and how they feel, the environment. How is someone going to care about someone else, let alone have the skills to work around and work with other people? Because if we're seeing mindsets, we have young people who probably could be having so many opportunities. Identify the opportunities, by the way. But who cares? They deep down, they're like, you know what?
Yeah.
That's not for me. How easy is this, though? Because, you know, when we've talked about the mindset change, we've made it quite, you know, we've oftentimes had this discussion here.
Yeah.
And I, for one, am interested in this kind of discussion, mindset change. But how possible is this for us, especially if we're dealing with our young minds? Because we already have probably mature minds that seem to also have the challenge of the mindset.
Yeah, thank you. It is, and normally people have always looked at social work or counseling as something that people are doing and they are just wasting time. It's not a wastage of time. Actually, when we consider USA and other developed countries, they consider social work as a very, very important aspect in life.
Yeah.
When somebody is already mature and may not easily change, then you will need to seek for counseling and guidance so that the person can change and look at things in a positive manner. For example, you find that somebody is brought up like that, with a certain character, with a certain behavior, disrespecting, doing all sorts of things, can even write, can say things. But you remember that this person was brought up in a different environment. Everyone has been different. But the only thing that can help is counseling, because there is always a chance for anyone to change. There are different stages of change according to profession, and you find somebody, you first talk to the person, then he's ready to change, or sometimes even he's not aware why he should. There's no need for him to change, but it takes time. It will grow gradually, and anybody else can be changed.
Oh, and we hate change.
Yes.
People hate change. Okay, very interesting. You talked about upbringing.
Yeah.
So how do we get to handle this issue? How do we get to fill those gaps in the issue of mindset change? Are you saying we should start from the basics, from the family setting, from the home setting? Because let's be honest, parenting skills these days are quite questionable. People don't even have time to be with their kids, so the children are probably learning from different people.
True.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to say from nannies or maids. I've seen great nannies or great maids who have been brought up also a certain way, but are doing this work because maybe they love it or because of the situation. But I was saying we need to go back to the drawing board and start with the smallest formation of the community, which is our homes, our families.
Yeah, it is very, very important for any behavior change to start from our homes. Because you find that the parents, at least the mother, especially mothers, they stay long with their children. For example, at the time when I was young, I used to be with my mother for so long. And some of the attributes that I have, I know I learned them from my mother. A few, of course, I learned with my father because my father was always away doing this.
Because that's what I was going to ask you. Don't you think we need to have more available or present fathers to sort of help us solve this problem? Because, see, if I see my father away all the time, I'll think that's how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Or if my father says, no, that's what a man does, that's what I want to do. So how because, see, most of the homes, even when people are grown up with both parents, the men seem to be absent, too busy for their children to sort of help them shape.
That
We're
is
leaving
true.
this, I think, to the women a little too much.
Yeah, it is, and I don't like it personally.
Especially in the era where women are now also quite busy.
Yeah, true. True, but we need to make sure that we prioritize our families.
Okay.
Yeah, especially when you're at work. I know this is the working environment. Almost everybody is working. Everyone is busy somewhere. There must be little time that is reserved for the children, so that you talk to them, you associate with them, you befriend them, so that they can learn something from you. And even you are able to discover how your child is. For example, most of the people we work from Monday to Friday, and at least once in a while you try to go home in time, you talk to this child, you ask him or her, and by the time you end your talk, at least you would have seen something, or she's able to tell you something. I want to give you just one example on this point without wasting time. In my home, when I reach, even if it is late, but when I get a chance and my kids have not slept, because my firstborn is 6 years, and the other four are following, they are all young. But I make sure that I drum for them. When I drum and they jump in Chinyankore Chichigawe, then after we pray and they go to sleep. And I don't think that even if I don't have the time, because I'm at work, I don't think they will fail to learn something out of that. So it's just a matter of positioning yourself, and you try to give time to our children so that they can grow up when they are good kids, when they are children of behavior. And that's when we can change the world. That's when we shall change Uganda. That's when these children can grow with behaviors. As I conclude on this point, my sister, I'm a supervisor where I work. I supervise people. But I wouldn't want to work with somebody administratively. I don't work with somebody who doesn't have a behavior, no matter how the person can perform. I would rather train a person who is not doing anything, who doesn't know anything much, but who has a character. And those things, they must start by us now.
Now, here's the thing. So many people are saying we have so many people graduating, going to the field, but they just sort of don't fit in with the, with the job market, the demands of the job market. And then I keep telling, and then some people don't have the passion, for example, because, well, I'll probably go and do plumbing because, hey, things didn't go my way, or I'll go be a teacher because, well, that's what I had, or I want to do journalism because it's the easiest thing, maybe I want to look for fame or anything. But so, are we looking at this as well? Because I want to connect these things to the mindset as well. That as we grow up, probably, some of our parents may not even have identified what we are good at, to help us in terms of career guidance, in terms of what we can be in the future. Because you're having doctors that don't want to be doctors. This is why you hear people saying, I went to the hospital, the doctor wasn't around. They had gone for lunch for about 3 hours. Because you would assume someone who's passionate would be at their work and want to make people's lives different. So when we're looking at the issue of mindset change, and we've brought it back to our upbringing and things like that, is this partly why? Because people don't know what they're good at. People discover themselves at 40, at 50. And then hopefully, probably if maybe we were identified in our childhood, it would have been easier for us to succeed at a certain age.
Sure. Thank you for that good question. And this brings me back to point number 2, which I have here. And I think everybody should discover his or her talents. When you try to listen to yourself and you feel what you can do better, you need to first opt for that. You opt for that and you give it time and you give it a trial. You don't just think and you just look at things and you leave them there and then. And what you are talking about, that some people are in a certain profession and they don't like it, it means somehow, somewhere, they are just forced because it's a good thing and yet it is not in them. Maybe. Or they did it as their second or third alternative. And in this case, I have a very good example which I have lived myself. Even after when I said, okay, my parents are gone, now I have a life to live, and I must be a man. I was born a man, and I must grow. I sat down and I said, what do you think? What do I think I can do better? When my uncle was took me on, definitely after the death of my parents, and I'm a person who never used to get, for example, pocket money. But I said I have talents which I discovered that I can use to make me a man, to make me what I want. What I did from primary level, I was in leadership. And being like a head prefect of the school, it doesn't matter the level. You find maybe at that level I would enjoy to have break tea with teachers because I'm a head boy. And I would find myself discussing with the teachers. Sometimes head teacher is calling me to talk to me about the school, about what I think about my fellow pupils. That is at the primary level. In the secondary, at the secondary level, in O level, still I became a leader because I discovered that it is my talent to be in leadership, and it helped me a lot. You would find me, whether I have pocket money to go to the canteen or not, I have at least break tea. I could easily get something with the teachers. I would sit with the staff in the staff room, which helped my life. I actually got mature a bit earlier just because of the leadership, which I thought it was a skill in me. It is just because I discovered. Probably, if I had not discovered that, maybe I was going to be living as a miserable student, looking here and there, begging, but I never begged because I discovered what I thought was a talent. However, at the university level, to cut the story short, I also tried to be the guild president, and that is the only level where I failed.
I like that you said I tried, but well, it's good to try.
Yes, I really tried. I couldn't fail to try, but I got the support, even the leadership at the government level, the MPs, some ministers supported me. There is one person, the chairperson, LC5 back home, supported me. So even when I didn't go through, thank God, because I joined my university with a diploma, the university employed me in second year, and I was able to pay, and I graduated.
So what you're saying is you actually realized you're talented, you had the skill that you probably didn't even have to work so hard for, but had to improve. Okay? And, but I also realized that in regards to the skills you're talking about is the social skills. The ability to meet people, fit in with people, you know, make friends, associate with people. This is something that I think many people tend to ignore. You know, because you find that that's why you see someone who tell you that person is very rude, and they don't want to deal with you, and yet you may be very talented, you may have a lot to offer, you may have a lot in terms of service, in terms of your work you're going to give. So is this something, well, brings back, I think, bring us back to the mindset, really. Well, probably when people also identify that they have certain talents, then they begin to fly. They're like, well, I'm soaring up higher. I don't need anyone else. So is this something that could be important? These are things that seem tiny, but people may not realize, well, to have the social skills, to have the ability to relate with people could be a factor to development.
Yeah, sure. That's a good one. And when you bring up this aspect, you need to listen carefully to yourself, and you must accept the behavior and the humility in you, so that you are able to catch up with your talents. Otherwise, you can lose it all because you will have no support. And in this case, for me, I loved older persons. For example, my uncle was taking me on knowing that I love my grandmother. And the grandmother, that was his mother. Now, you can see, I would come and I would find this grandmother maybe talking with friends, and me, Addison, what I would do, I would join them and sit together with them on the mat.
And have a conversation.
And for me, my uncle picking me up was like, hey, because I'm the firstborn in our family. But he was like, we must pick Addison because he's in love with the Who is the grandmother? Which means had it not been that kind of humility, that I really loved the older persons, like my grandmother, like my grandparents, probably wouldn't have picked me up. So even when you have the talent, you need to put it in quotes, so that
check yourself.
You have the talent, yes, but you need people. Because the people around you, that is your social capital. The people can let you down depending on the people that you are dealing with, and it is the people that can put you up, that can boost your talent and support you, and you become something. That is, if you have the character, you have the behavior.
Yeah, people have to deal with people that are quite well behaved. Now, someone would say, well, please put aside these things of talent and everything. We need to skill our young people. That's what's important. We need to skill our young people. And what we do, we get a mass of young boys and girls and tell them, well, go into plumbing, go into hairdressing, go into tailoring, go into this. Are you saying that maybe as we say, let us skill, because, yeah, we could have, you know, oftentimes we've complained our education system, or people have complained that our education system, we're focusing on the theory and we're not letting people practice and have the skills. And then we look at the vocational training institutions coming up to train our young people, whether it's nursing or, you know, whatever it is. And we're saying, well, we've skilled our people. And then someone comes and says, well, we're still not getting the results. So are you trying to say that as we skill young people, we need to help them identify, for example, you can go into learning hotels and catering.
Yeah, sure.
You know? Go into it because you love it, but they're all available. Please go into plumbing to skill, and you should go in because you want to do this, not because, hey, this is an alternative. Or maybe get into hairdressing because, you know, it could be something you may love. But what one might say, well, no, with skilling our people, they need to learn these things so that they can make money. That's the most important thing. And you have a hairdresser that's going to come and cut your hair a certain way because, hey, I'm here to make a couple of notes. Is that what you say? Oh, if I'm misread you.
No. That's a fact. And I think in that case, the young people, or every one of us, we need to learn the new skills of development. Otherwise, if you want to only stick on that one that you are looking at,
because it's what's available.
If you don't want to diversify, then it means there is a very big problem. Because when you look at the population, for example, in Uganda, when people were just 2,000, you find that the numbers multiplying. And the land, remember, the land where we build houses, where we put the gardens, is a fixed asset. It doesn't change. It will never multiply. I've never heard that the other hill, they are now two. One hill has produced another hill. They remain. It will remain one. But people in numbers, they keep multiplying, which means we have to think beyond. So we have to do multitasking in everything, and it is very, very important. Therefore, if I'm looking at this job, for example, and it is not doing something for me very well, then I need to learn some other new skills so that I'm able to do some other things. If one is doing some work, you reserve, for example, some minutes to go and add value to yourself. You can go and do a certificate. You can go and do a postgraduate. There you are adding value to yourself, and you are learning other new skills, so that when A has not worked, at least you will apply B. And something, if it is a skill, it means you have it. Whether you are in these formal employments or not, but at least you have another way to survive, not just to live a life.
And okay, you go for that other way when you also want, not because I'm out of options. We have so many people in professions that they're in because, yeah, well, my parents told me I should go and do this. So, very interesting. So lastly, because our time has run out, talk to the people. You're going to look in this camera, your camera. Talk to the people in regards to what this particular issue, well, our main focus is on mindset change. Of
Yeah.
course, bringing in all the other things that rotate around it.
Yeah.
Speak to the people out there, not just the young people. I don't want to just assume it's the young people.
No.
Yeah, it could
No.
be.
It's for everyone.
Yeah, talk to the people out there in regards to why it's important for us to be open-minded, open to new things, knowing that we need to change our mindset towards, certain things.
Thank you so much for that. It is very, very important because everything starts with the mind. When you believe that actually I can do this, and you don't just believe, you don't just read something and you stop at reading it. When you think of something, try it. When you're multitasking and you don't just look at only one thing, because suppose this one fails, then you start blaming somebody else. And you say, my mother told me to do this, my father told me to do this, my friend is the one who took me here. But for you, what did you do to yourself? And in this, I wanted to bring the very good example of the 4-acre model, of which His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni has talked about. The things have been written in the newspapers, even here on the UBC, we watch the things. And in this model, he's encouraging everyone, at least even if you have just a small piece of land, do something, use it. You don't have just to come and see it because you are a teacher or because you are doing administration, you are employed somewhere and you sit there forever. And in this case, when I picked it, that he was encouraging people, for example, that you go and plant matoke in a smaller piece of land which you have. You go and start something small, and then you will see. And we tend, as Africans, we tend to listen, and probably if you are given a paper like this, people will write papers, very good, smart papers, and they will get the D1s and A1s. But practice, no. And this is what I have done, my friend. I went deep down in my village. Remember, I'm employed somewhere. But I decided to plant just matoke to test. I have planted matoke after listening to this program of 4-acre model. And now as I speak, I planted just 300 suckers. I've seen them, they are growing very well. I'm very sure in the next 4 months, I'm supposed to be getting matoke back from the village. Yeah, because transport is easy, everything is easy. I think you can actually say, send me this, and they will send it by bus or by any means of transport, and you will get the food, which can support my family. I also sat with my wife, and we start a small piggery at home, which I've seen it is supporting my family. I can't say I'm only looking at this formal employment
because that's
for me to live. For example, I'm on contract. Suppose it ends, it means I will not eat. But when you diversify, you try to learn some new other skills. When you listen to the important speeches, you read the books, then you can be able to focus and do something.
Anymore, do they?
And lastly, in the mindset, sometimes it depends on the influence on our friends, on our associations. They are very, very important, because you find that friends and associations, they influence someone's behavior through the ways how you do the things, and it can actually position your character, and eventually it will make your lifestyle. So you must be very careful with the friends and associations that you have. And in this case, I have another example. Our family friends, as a young family, most of our friends, they are senior government officials, others are senior lecturers. As we talk, yes, I'm doing administration, but on Saturday, I do a part-time. I do lecturing somewhere in Nakawa here on Saturday. Because you find that the people I associate with, they are lecturers, others are government officials. So what do we discuss? You end up actually practicing what you have been discussing, what has filled your mind.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Addison Asimwe here, and he's been looking at a very crucial issue, and that is mindset change. Oftentimes people think it's a very tiny little thing, but it's very huge. I mean, you can have so many learned people, but if they're not open to realizing certain things. Of course, while you're open, you need to be quite careful as well. You just don't let everything in, because then otherwise we would be destroying every little bit of who we are or in identifying ourselves. We need to make that clear. But mindset change in terms of being open to trying new things, being open to realizing that you're capable of a whole lot more. You shouldn't just sit down and wait for something. Or you get into something because that's just an alternative, not necessarily because you really were interested in trying it. That's some of the things really. It's a very wide discussion, I must say. My time has run out, way past my time. Rowena Kajumba is my name. From me and the entire business team, have yourselves a lovely day. Thank you.
Thank you.
First 4G smartphone from Airtel is back. It's bigger, better, and comes with 5 GB free data per month for 3 months at only $200.